Hi, that little mini video you saw at the beginning was a coloring from Zendoodle Cozy Cats by Nicolette Corley. I framed it because it was the one coloring book my dad bought for me. He went shopping with my niece at Walmart, and that was one of the things he came home with. And, you know, it's special to me now because he passed away at the beginning of the year. So I wanted to frame that as a dedication and memorial to him. As you can see here, we're looking at a coloring from the beginning of the year. This is from Outlander, based on the novels by Diana Gabaldon. And the reason this is one of my favorites is because it just goes to show you don't need to buy expensive tools to make a pretty picture. I did this with Crayola pencils, and the pencils work beautifully in this book. It's very detailed, and it took me several evenings and one afternoon working on it to complete it. But it's always remained one of my favorite colorings. I have one from the Red Queen. There she is. She's got lightning coming out of her fingers. What I like about this one was it was just fun, and it gave me an opportunity to experiment with metallic markers. And this was my first attempt coloring gold using a different variety of yellows and browns. I have one in Steampunk Fashions by Marnie Noble. This is one of my favorite colorings of the year as well. I like the brightness and the boldness. I used markers, Sharpies, Crayola, and glitter gel pens. And I also used Faber-Castell Classics. It was a new set to me, and I was still trying it out, and I'm pleased with the results. From Throne of Glass, based on the novels by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first first completed coloring I did entirely with Prismacolor Scholars. They were a new set to me, and I was trying them out, and I was very impressed with the vibrancy, and I love the way the sky came out. This also took me quite a while to complete, but I enjoyed every minute of it. I have one from Magical Fairies by Deborah Muller. I love the vibrancy in this one too, and I find yellow, this bright yellow, makes a great background for contrasting colors. You can see some of the shimmer from the glitter pens. This is my favorite coloring from Inklings by Tanya Bond. I used Arteza pencils for her skin, Camel and Coyote, I think it was. It's very unique. And for the little dragon, I used neon green and shaded with pencil. And the background I like too. I used watercolors on it. Next, I have some that I copied onto cardstock. This is from Astro Inklings by Tanya Bond. The original one I colored in the book, and I wasn't happy with the way the shading on her skin was. I made the nose too flat and without definition, so I improved on my technique and recolored it, and you know, it's still a work in progress as far as my ability to do flawless skin, let's put it that way. But I'm improving, and I'm quite happy with the results, so this is why this is one of my favorites from 2018. And I have two from Flowers and Flyers by C.L. Aldridge. I just love the way these come out. I used a variety of mediums. On this one, it was markers and scholars. And this one was watercolors and gel pens. This one is from Alphonse Mucha. I love the dark background and the way I created this little, I don't know if you'd call that circular mosaic, but I created that with a brush pen, and I use Sevo Vivid pencils and classics, and here I used metallic markers. I have a favorite in Greek mythology from Jade Summer. This is Eros, the god of love. I like to think of this as my cotton candy boy. But I'm really pleased. I had a lot of fun coloring this. I did this during color and chat with Sammy. She held a week-long coloring marathon, and this is the one I did for that. I just I don't know, it's pretty, and I used Pelican pencils. Also, one of my favorites is from this abstract Pablo Picasso. Now, this is slightly different than what I usually do, and that's why it's one of my favorites, because I love the results. This is the original. So I did my best to, well, I used it as inspiration. I didn't copy it exactly, but I used a cheap set of watercolors, Art 101, and they're very vibrant. They're chalky when they lay down, but I can't complain about the color put out. Also, one of my favorites of the year is in The Witcher. This took a while, but I had a lot of fun with it because I took my time and decided on a color scheme for each character. And what also took a while was figuring out what each thing was. Sometimes I'd color a floor when it was part of a boot, you know, that kind of thing. So there are a few mistakes. Some of them have been covered over best I can, but all in all, this was the first coloring I did in this book, and I must say, I'm loving this book, and I love the results. I also picked one out from Court of Thorns and Roses, based on the novels by Sarah J. Maas. This one was illustrated by Charlie Bowater, and as I said before, I'm still improving on my technique with skin, and I thought this illustration would be a great practice for that, because the faces are smaller, so you don't see so many imperfections close up. And I used a variety of mediums on it, anything from watercolors to Sharpies. And the design on the stones, I got that idea from Color with Claire, who did a tutorial on the holographic look. And I thought that would be a great design for this picture. And it was a lot of fun, and I am very pleased with the results. Now, what's interesting is on Instagram, if you're on Instagram and you go to Best of 2018, they will tabulate your top 9 popular picks for the year. And I want to show you briefly what my followers on Instagram thought was my best picture or best work of the year. Here she is. This was my top pick on Instagram. Now, I don't choose it in my particular lineup of favorites. Because since I know where all the mistakes and flaws are, her dress, I used a thin layer of marker and then went over with pencil and trying to create curves and folds. It's still a work in progress for me, and that sort of sticks out in my mind. How, the bottom part of her dress isn't what I'd hoped to achieve. But overall, it is nice, and like I said, the Instagram community liked it. In Game of Thrones by George R. Martin, who wrote the books, not the coloring book. This one was illustrated by Vaughn Gilbert. And this one was the first page I used my Arteza watercolors in, and the pencils and scholars. It was a challenge because when you see this one uncolored, it's really hard to tell what is what. So I looked to other colorings on Instagram for inspiration, and I came up with my own color scheme. And this is based on a cult called the Sons of the Harpy, and they wear gold masks. And this was my second serious attempt at coloring gold using a transition of darker browns to canary yellow to white. This is probably, aside from all the Mandela books I have, and a few Creative Haven that were gifted to me, this is my oldest coloring book. And I redid this one for Halloween. And I redid it using markers as the primary medium. The sky, I did use pencils, transitioning from a darker purple to the light of the moon. Her skin was done with Arteza, and her hair was done with Crayola markers and black Arteza pencil. And I am proud of this one because the first one, the first one is good, but compared to this one, I think I've improved on my skill and technique, and you know, overall I'm very happy with it. This is from Joanna Basford, World of Flowers. And I'm really impressed with the Tan Mitt gel pens. This is all gel pen, and look at the blending in that. I was just wowed at the completed result. And I used Prismacolor Scholars for the neon colors in the flowers and part of the background. And I used a very light blue in here. I believe it was Crayola watercolors. And the outside rim was done with Scholars. In Bells and Blossoms, this can be a very challenging book, as you can see. It's very detailed, a lot of small little details, including this one. So in order to get the entire background colored in, I colored the entire picture, except for the girl, in yellow highlighter, and then colored over it with a pencil. And it gives a unique yellow tint to it. And I like the result. And I used the Scholars, of course. I started with another budget pencil, but I just wasn't getting the vibrancy, so I switched, and there's the result. And it's beautiful. This one was my second most popular pick on Instagram after the one from Court of Thorns and Roses. So I think my followers have good taste. And finally, this is called Hanukkah Celebration, illustrated by Diana Murray, and she had a Cyber Monday sale on all her illustrations, and I thought, yeah, let's do a little Hanukkah. Yeah, let's celebrate that too. And the pencils were not my primary medium in this. It was markers and gel pens and painter's pen. And I did a lot of shading on the tablecloth with the markers themselves by going over and creating darker lines. So that's it. Those are my personal favorite colorings for 2018. I'm also planning a month in review of what I colored. And I also have a special announcement coming up, perhaps tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a little collaboration with somebody else on YouTube to celebrate the life of a fellow colorist who left us too soon. So stick around for that, and I'll see you soon.